The key word for using a fire extinguisher is pass. P is for pull the pin, A is for aim the nozzle at the base of the fire, and then S is for squeeze the handle and then sweep back and forth until the fire is completely out. So now that you know how to use one, when should you use it?
If you see a fire and you think, I can put that out, and you've had the training to use a fire extinguisher, then go ahead, go for it.
Now, Allie, do fire extinguishers actually have an expiration date? And if they do, where do you find them?
So that's why I brought this one on the set. It's a good question. This one actually has a date, says 2016, but a lot of manufacturers say that anywhere from 5 years to 15 years, the fire extinguisher should be good.
People are asking us, do those on-tap filters actually work, and should you be using one?
Our Mariah Harrison looked at water in Lansing and Jackson to find the answers for you.
When you reach for a glass of water from your tap, does it run through a filter first? They're not new. In fact, they've been around for decades. But in the wake of the Flint water crisis, there's renewed interest in these little gadgets. But how much of a difference do they really make? We went to the lab to find out. The Lansing samples came from a sink here at WLNS TV, and the Jackson Coffee Company allowed us to test the sink behind the counter at their store on Mechanic Street. After a week of testing,
sample receiving to the first floor lobby.
Here's what we found. No trace of lead or copper in any of the 4 samples. And when it comes to Jackson City water, the filter had no effect on hardness or sulfates, but slightly decreased the amount of chloride, fluoride, and sodium.
You might think that your home is the safest place in the world for your children, but it might not be.
Our Lauren Thompson recently went to experts to find out just how many hidden dangers can be found inside your own home, especially when it comes to young kids and babies.
I definitely have some changes to do.
Sparrow Injury Prevention Coordinator Mickey Kraft helped Erin see that as she walked through Erin's home, pointing out what she's done right.
I applaud you for the outlet covers there, smoke detector there, that's good.
While making a list of more things to do, from the bathrooms.
Do you have a toilet seat lock?
Not yet.
I would get one of those. Children have drowned.
To the bedrooms.
Her crib is kind of close to the window, so the monitor, of course, she could grab that. I would put a gate there in case you ask. Yes, always.
Mickey found plenty of potential dangers where Paige could get hurt. But in this house, she says it's the giant TVs and heavy furniture that's the greatest danger.
It was still eye-opening to still see from somebody else's perspective.
Whether you're a first, second, or third time mom, there's just things that you're in your house every day, and like little tiny things, you're like, oh, I didn't even realize that.
Because when it comes to keeping our kids safe, we should never leave anything to chance.
Definitely slips, trips, and falls.
Slips, trips, and falls. Susie knows only too well about that scenario. Her own mother, Betty, suffered a couple of falls and eventually died in April.
So sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
But here you are, the Safety Council Executive Director.
It can happen to anyone.
And that's the point. Susie's mom broke her hip and had to be moved into assisted living.
Did you have a talk to her at some point to say, Mom, what were you thinking?
We took the footstool away.
Taking things away is a good idea, and so is being aware of these medical conditions, like any muscle weakness, arthritis, inner ear problems, diabetes, and even some medications.
In recent years, home security systems have improved by leaps and bounds, and now it seems that any home can be brought into the 21st century. Greg Judge works about 50 miles from home, but he's always just a click away, using a computer and smartphone to access his security cameras.
Having the video cameras gives me that extra peace of mind. I can look in, I can see that my pets are safe, my family's safe.
Police say along with security cameras, locking doors and proper lighting can also help you from becoming a victim. Here for you in Jackson, Aaron Dimmick, 6 News.
I'm forever grateful to them. To all the people that took turns performing CPR on me and keeping me ventilated.
CPR is an easy skill to learn. With quick and deep pumps on the chest, you can get someone under cardiac arrest back responsive. Place your palm on the victim's chest, interlock your fingers, and push to the rhythm of the Bee Gees song, Staying Alive.
CPR is not hard.
Tip number 1, it all starts with parking your car.
You want to be aware of your surroundings before you get out of your car,
kind of take a look around, make sure there's not anybody lurking or standing around, that everything seems like it should be.
Tip number 4, avoid identity theft.
When paying at the store, remember not to flash your cash and also hide your credit card information when handing it over to the clerk. You never know who could be watching.
After living through Hurricane Frederick in 1979 while growing up in Florida, Linda Lawrence says the scariest part about living through a disaster is not being prepared.
We didn't know where our candles were. We didn't know where our flashlights were. Once it's known that there is a storm coming, you might as well forget it. You cannot go into a store and get food.
That's why now she knows no matter where you live, whether it's Florida hurricanes,
Hurricane Frederick's power was evident,
or Michigan snowstorms, not being prepared is not an option.
But what all do you need and how much is it going to cost you to be prepared?
Water is priority number 1 for drinking and bathing if necessary. Non-perishable food items such as cans, tuna, and nuts, a flashlight in case the power goes out, a radio to be able to stay updated on the situation, extra batteries to ensure you always have enough backup, and a first aid kit for emergencies. The total cost, close to $60 for a single person and around $120 for a family.
Well, welcome back. We continue our Safety for You reports tonight with what's known as the silent killer.
And according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, every year in the United States, more than 4,000 people are rushed to the hospitals for carbon monoxide poisoning, and more than 400 die.
And if you didn't have a CO detector in your home at this point, our Siobhan Kleffer has 6 good reasons why you should.
In a small Fenton Township neighborhood, on a cold February afternoon, Fire Chief Ryan Voles went inside this home to a scene that's now seared into his memory.
One of the hardest calls to ever respond to, is, in my eyes, of doing this for the 20-some years I've been in this business.
Room after room, body after body. Heather, Leonard, Grant, Luke, Brendan, Rachel, all dead, all because of carbon monoxide. 2 days before, a storm cut their power. Genesee County Sheriff's officials say the Quasarano family hooked up their propane generator to get heat pumping back into their home. They didn't know the generator itself was pumping deadly gas inside as well. They set it up in the basement when it should have been outside. With their home sealed up, carbon monoxide crawled through. They couldn't see it, they couldn't smell it, and based on where their bodies were found scattered on every level of the home, officials say they likely had no idea it was there, killing them one by one.
It's the silent killer. I mean, you don't know it's there, and usually until it's too late, because you get fatigued, you get lightheaded, you get to the point where you don't know what's going on, and then eventually you pass out, and then the final is you die from it.
About a month before that tragic accident, another family of 6, this one in Ionia, nearly died. Amy Latimer was helping her niece take care of her 4 young children inside this home on January 28th. They were all sleeping when the 1-year-old fell out of bed and started crying. That woke the 3-year-old up, and she went into her mom's bedroom.
She said, "Mommy, my head isn't working right."
Amy and her niece both felt sick when they got up and knew right away something was terribly wrong and that it might be carbon monoxide. Minutes later, they got everyone out and called 911.
Ionia County 911, where's your emergency?
The cause? A malfunctioning furnace. Public safety officials in Ionia say the levels inside the home read 400 parts per million. They got lucky because that's lethal.
We could have lost 6 members of our family, 3 generations all in one night.
Amy's family didn't have a working carbon monoxide detector in their home. The Quasaranos didn't have one at all. They range in price anywhere from $20 to well over $100. Some have batteries, some plug in, some digital readouts, but they're all designed to do the same thing: warn you when poisonous gas is lurking in your home.
What carbon monoxide does is it goes into your bloodstream, and then what it does, instead of your blood cells picking up oxygen, it blocks the ability for your blood cells to pick up the oxygen. So you start to slowly suffocate internally, basically. You're not getting enough oxygen to all your vital organs.
The CO detector is first.
Yeah, every level should have one.
Second, Brad Drury, the assistant chief of the Delhi Township Fire Department, says get to know your home, know what appliances inside give off CO, things like your furnace, water heater, fireplace, stove, gas dryer, And in your garage or near your home, your car, generator, barbecue, anything that burns fuel. Third, make sure those appliances work properly.
And your furnace is already in a separate area here with your hot water heater.
Make sure they're clean and have them inspected regularly, especially if they're old.
And it says warning, replace detector by the year 2003 is what it looks like to me.
And fourth, know what not to do.
People lose power and they start looking for alternative heat sources. People will connect generators up that is running in their garage, but their garage is sealed up and it's actually allowing carbon monoxide to go into the home. Or they put a generator right outside a window that is not sealed very well and it's actually filling. Those type of internal combustion engines fill a lot or put out a lot of CO.
In the case of the Quazaranos, they put the generator directly inside, the worst thing you can do. Assistant Chief Drury also says stoves should never be used to heat your home. Doing that could also be deadly. So as we head into these cold winter months and you seal your family inside, you need to ask, are we safe in our own home? Unless you have a carbon monoxide detector, can you ever really know?
Wow, well, that was Siobhan Klepper reporting, and you can find CO detectors in places like Lowe's, Home Depot, and Walmart.
Yeah, absolutely. And as far as where to put them, well, all that information should be listed right on the packaging. But again, as you heard in Siobhan's report, officials recommend that you have at least one of them on every level of your home.
This is 6 News at 6.
But it's my fault. My son's dead. It's no one else's but mine. I was the parent on duty. And I failed my son.
Gut-wrenching words spoken by a mother who is still grieving, heartbroken over the loss of her 3-year-old son, who died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. It's been nearly 4 years since that tragic day, and for the first time, Melissa Easter and her husband Mark speak publicly about their painful ordeal, and they hope that by sharing their devastating story, you'll understand why it can happen to anyone.
You know, like I said, there's not a day that doesn't go by that I don't think about them. Not an hour that doesn't go by that I don't think about them.
The pain is so real for Mark and Melissa Easter. They live their lives hour by hour waiting for the heartache to end, knowing it never will. Their youngest child, Michael, was just 3 years old when the unthinkable happened. It's a day that changed their lives forever.
I noticed Michael wasn't in here, and as I was walking around the corner, I heard the gunshot. I honestly first thought it hit me. I don't know why. I just remember my chest just hurt. I think it was my heart dropping of, oh my God. And then I immediately ran into the room because I saw him on the floor. Actually, I saw him fall, and I tried to do everything I could. And I remember thinking in my head, at the same time, I've got to be a mom, and I slammed the door shut. And the girls are trying to get in. I'm like, no, call your dad, get my cell phone.
Yeah, I was 2 minutes down the road. You know, I turned around and came back, you know, to find that, you know. And like I said, our daughter was coming off the porch afraid that I was going to kill myself because, you know, her brother just died.
Mark's loaded gun sat on top of a tall bedroom dresser. How Michael got it is unclear, but the gun went off, ending the curious 3-year-old's life, completely shattering this family's world.
I lost my son, and what more could you do to me, you know, than that? There's no worse punishment, you know, than that. We beat ourselves up, you know. There isn't a day that doesn't go by. There isn't an hour that doesn't go by that I don't think about him. And instead of spending birthdays at, you know, somewhere at a Chuck E. Cheese or a friend's house or having parties, we'll be going to the cemetery tomorrow. You know, that's how we celebrate our son's birthday. You know, for a 3-minute mistake, you know, that cost us everything.
Both Mark and Melissa wish every day that they could turn back the hands of time to reverse this tragedy. And what makes the reality even more difficult is that Mark Easter is also Deputy Easter, a 17-year veteran of the Jackson County Sheriff's Department.
I have other law enforcement friends that says, you know, by the grace of God, you know, it wasn't me. It could have easily been me, at any time.
So even with the father as a deputy and Michael wanting to follow in his father's footsteps, it wasn't enough to keep him out of harm's way.
You can ask a child. Every child knows if you have a gun, especially little boys, they know they're there, and
hiding them and putting them up high or anything else like that isn't.
It's a ticking time bomb.
The Easter family is not alone in this tragedy. According to the Associated Press, statistics tracked by the Gun Violence Archive from 2014 through June of this year show accidental shootings involving minors spike near the age of 3 and then again between 15 and 16. These accidental shootings seem to happen when a kid finds an unsecured gun at home, like Michael did, and in a matter of minutes, a mother's hopes and dreams for her son are lost forever.
It was just so quick, and that's how it is in life. It's quick, and now I get to live with that the rest of my life, and I always it hurts.
Days after Michael was killed, Mark Easter says as a way to protect his family and prevent something like this from ever happening again, he bought a gun safe.
When I went to pay for it, I knew that $100 for the safe that it cost me, I could have prevented my sons from dying, and that will haunt me. That's a cross that I got to bear. I always thought the threat was going to come from outside, inside, and not from inside out, and, it is. The threat is in your home.
And now this family speaks of time as either before Michael or after Michael.
It's been almost 4 years, and it doesn't get any easier. But it was something so simple that could have saved his life.
We think it's important enough, to tell people our story that, listen, it doesn't take long, it can happen in a blink of a minute. It will shatter your life. Your life will never be the same, and it could easily be avoidable.
As Melissa and Mark wipe away their tears, they realize how a matter of seconds has left them to endure a lifetime of heartache.
Trade my place in a heartbeat. If I could bring my son back right now, even for a minute, you see those Facebook posts, what would you do or who would you talk to on a park bench if you had 5 more minutes? And I'd just like to hug them and tell them I love them. And I'm sorry.
I know, it's a tough one. We're very sorry for the Easter family's loss, and we really appreciate their bravery for sharing their story with us. And I know that stories are really hard to hear, stories like this one, but these types of tragedies, they're preventable if people store their guns responsibly. Right. It just takes just a few seconds to unload a gun and then secure it with a gun lock. Like this one.
Right.
And if you put this on an empty gun, Jane, that gun will not fire.
Isn't that amazing? Okay, and the reason we do these stories, and first of all, God bless this family for sharing this story.
Right.
I can't imagine what they've gone through, but you just saved a life. I'm telling you, they did.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We're so appreciative.
And we want to thank them, and we want to thank you for watching. We apologize, but I bet you're doing this at home too.
I know.
But
I've done it every time I've bought.
That's the first time I've seen it. I can't imagine.
No.
Wonderful job. But okay, the important thing is about this is that these gun locks are going to be available, and this is why we're doing the Safety for You special and this month for a reason, because we want to be there for you and we want to save lives and make lives healthier and happier. And coming up Friday, and we are inviting all our friends in the Jackson area. Join us at Lowe's on Boardman Road in Jackson beginning at 11 in the morning, because the first 500 people in line can take home life-saving gadgets like these gun locks, child safety kits, also smoke alarms and water filters, and that's while the supplies last. And as we've been saying this, it's just one more way we really are here for you. Earlier today, the 6 News crew partnered with Lowe's Home Improvement to pass out some life-saving equipment at no cost. And our Mariah Harrison was there, and she has a look at our Safety Day giveaway.
Well, the first official 6 News safety giveaway is in the books, and boy, was it a hit. People started lining up 1, 2, 3 hours before the event even started. Here's what they lined up for. We gave away about 500 smoke alarms, water filters, radon test kits, child safety kits, and so much more. And as a treat for the kids, the Delhi Township Fire Department brought the James Malcolm Fire Safety Trailer. It gives kids a simulation of what it's like to be in a burning home and how to find a safe way out. And who could forget the adorable Jake, the fire safety dog? When we say we're here for you, we mean it. In Lansing, Mariah Harrison, 6 News.
I have been reporting for 6 News for 26 years. And in all that time, no story has impacted me quite like this one. If a gun ends up in the wrong hands, it can be deadly and life-changing. I encourage you to watch my special report tonight. If you're concerned about gun safety, you don't want to miss it.
Keeping our community safe is a top priority, and that's the whole idea behind our Safety for You reports. Keeping our community safe is a top priority, and that's the whole idea behind our Safety for You reports.
We'll give you tips on what to keep an eye on while holiday shopping.
It's the perfect time of year for bag snatchers and credit card seekers, but what if we told you you could be making yourself an easier target?
Don't hope you'll be safe, know you'll be safe.
6 News is here for you with important safety tips you need to know while shopping this holiday season.
Maybe you're at the point in your life where it's your turn to take care of your parents. Do you know how to keep mom and dad safe inside their own home?
Falls are preventable.
I'm Jane Aldrich. Slip and fall accidents are the #1 leading cause of death for those over 65. We're going to talk to the Safety Council Director about her personal story and why it's so important for all of us to be smart about it.
Keeping our community safe is a top priority, and that's the whole idea behind our Safety for You reports.
Don't hope you'll be safe, know you'll be safe.
We want to help you keep your home safe.
From the kitchen faucet to the downstairs den, your house can be a dangerous place.
Don't hope you'll be safe, know you'll be safe.
We turn our head for a brief second and we're always amazed at what they've gotten into.
You think your home is the safest place for your kids, but you may be wrong. I'm Lauren Thompson. I have that story tonight.
We're here for you.
And that's the whole idea behind our Safety for You reports.
Protecting our families from dangers at home seems simple enough until you realize how many ways your family can be injured at home.
We'll show you how a few bucks can provide your family with a sense of safety and security.
A family of 6 found dead in their home. It wasn't violent, it was silent, and if you're not careful, it could happen to you. The signs, the symptoms, and safety tips you need to know to keep carbon monoxide far away from your home. Tonight on 6 News.